Hello and welcome back. Today we will be continuing our UK run here in Victoria 3. Last episode we really started to conquer a lot of Central Asia, really making use of all the stacked infamy decrease modifiers, and I'm starting to come to the realization that I think that in a point in the not too long away future, this will become just not a very good principle, because once we conquer every unrecognized power, it's kind of irrelevant now, isn't it? Or once we don't care about infamy, and it's like there's only so many left, right? We're even going after some of the ones in Africa here, which we never touch normally. But also, this episode we will almost certainly be winning the Great Game, because if we take a look at Prestige, the Great Game mechanics need to be fought between great powers, and if we look at Prestige, the reckoning that we gave Russia last episode wasn't enough to get them to decay down from being a GP last episode, but somehow they're decaying down now. The requirement is going up and up and up. The requirement for being a GP is based off of one of two things: the proportion of the leader, or proportion of the leader, or the average GDP, or the average prestige of all powers. And so as we are gobbling up all these little powers, what ends up happening is this is raising the average, and they are nowhere near the proportion needed in order to be a GP of the leader, which is of course us. And so this is making it harder and harder for powers to hold on to kind of their GP position. As long as there are still some GPs left in the world, getting a bankroll from any of them, either of them, because Russia's going to decay down, which will leave just the US and Austria, will be quite useful, because we'll be able to crank up really hard if we get a bankroll. But I'm anticipating that we are going to be reaching a point soon where there are no GPs but us, especially because we're adding some military into the queue as we go now. So this episode, we will almost certainly be winning the Great Game, just not really the way you normally win it. We'll be winning it by making Russia no longer a great power. So it'll be a major game. We instantly win the third Opium Wars against the Taiping Peasant Revolt, because the revolt included, of course, our treaty port. And so for the third time, we will be winning the Opium War. We could go for morale damage, or we could go for trade route competitiveness. We will choose trade route competitiveness, because bigger trade routes will give us more influence. I think what we're going to do is we're also going to improve relations, if we can, with the Heavenly Kingdom, because we're planning on making them our subject at some point in the future, and so just subjugating them kind of the normal way. And we do not want them to be super low relations when they do that, and so we will be improving relations with them as we go. We're also trying to get some of our subjects to change their laws, just trying to play a little bit of small ball, especially changing ones when they have big movements. And so, Nagpur, do you have a movement? This type of thing. I know we have some going. So for example, we're on landed voting right here, or trying to switch Mysore, and they have a movement for it, so they should be able to get on it. The dream, of course, is starting to get people off of closed borders. That way we can steal their pops, but unfortunately people are not swapping off that very aggressively. We do... Ooh. You're going on to tenant farmers from homesteading, rip. But Heavenly Kingdom in particular, we actually really want them on homesteading so their peasants can migrate. But they already have no migration controls, which is why subjugating them is going to be so useful, especially once we pass multiculturalism. Now that we have someone who is trying to pass it, who wants it, who's a fan of it, who doesn't have syphilis and isn't going to die super early again. So, for a while I wasn't sure why we couldn't reverse sway into Austria for a bankroll, and then I thought it was because they didn't have the tech for it, but honestly at this point it seems unlikely that they wouldn't have the tech for it, so I'm wondering if this is just bugged, where countries that do not start with the bankroll tech can't bankroll, or if it's such that if you're too much bigger than them you can't bankroll, and this was a sneaky nerf, which of course it's a sensible one, but I haven't seen it. I think France was able to bankroll us, so this doesn't seem to be the case. And at this point, they probably have central banking, which unlocks bankrolls. So I'm a little bit curious as to why Austria is incapable of bankrolling us. But if this is going to be the case, it's much less important for us to maintain a trade agreement with them. And it's kind of just the USA then, which has bankrolled us already in this run, that is kind of left. Wait, where's France even? Bruh. A bit of history for those of you who were not here when the Dark Lore was written. Eastern Mali used to be the best state in the game. it used to be the best state in the game because of this building, which the AI never builds, which it means if you've never ever conquered this area, you've never seen this building, this is the Mosque of Djenne. And what it gives you is it gives you plus 20% education access. We're going to build it. It's going to give Anglican devout. I'm not even sure if we want that, but we're building it mainly just kind of as a bit of a throwback. This used to apply to your entire country, which is why this was so obscene. Now it only applies locally to the individual state itself, so it's not very good anymore, but it used to be absolutely insane. Alright, we probably should have done this quite a while ago, but we were enjoying kind of the free money, but we're going to reduce subject payments on the British Raj. We thought about even increasing autonomy. Really, if we can get this guy to start pulling down quite a bit more, that's going to help out a lot for increasing our cohesion and pulling more people into our bloc. We also finished confederating Canada, which is going to be nice. The 10% prestige should help to decrease or increase the level of prestige required for Russia, so I don't think Russia's going to make a recovery. They have to get up to 382. I think it was like 370. Okay, there's the kick up. So that's from us increasing the average prestige of the globe just in that moment by getting that 10% prestige, which makes it harder and harder for Russia to get in. So that's going to be nice. But our cohesion's mainly been kept down by, or one of the things keeping our cohesion down is the high liberty desire of the British Raj. And we could even think about, to be honest, if we actually want to reduce autonomy on several people over the course of a longer period of time, I'm not sure if this is the correct decision because it might make it hard to annex them later, but I think we're actually just going to increase their autonomy as well. It gives us a unidirectional truce, and it decreases their liberty desire by 30. We really want to subjugate some people, and also I think that this will make it easier for us to change their clout and their attitude over the course of time, and when they are a dominion, they also don't you don't get as much from this. Where's the modifier here? There's a modifier in here that's less, you get less of a multiplier desire for dominion here than you do for the other thing. So there's relatively prestige modifier, but that modifier doesn't seem to be a very strong one in here. But in any case, this is going to make it so that it's much easier for us to get onto a higher cohesion. We're trending now towards 83, and I believe that once we get into the higher bracket, we will get a different modifier. We have 10% leverage generation and 10% weekly mandate. What we care about is the leverage generation. We'll go up to 20% leverage generation here. And so that is going to help us to pull Spain into our block just as soon as we get up above this 80 point here, and we want to pull them into our block. And there we go. Great game, no re. We win the great game as Britain by forcing Russia down through intrigue, deft diplomacy. Did he call this deft? This is like baseball bat diplomacy. We have brought the great game to a favorable conclusion. Our victories brought Great Britain glory and Russia humiliation on the world stage. We will get 20 prestige decaying over the course of a very long period of time, and we get a positive event, diplomatic catalyst, but triggered between us. Positive event. Yeah, I don't think we're gonna forgive them for what they've done, but now we're trending even higher because the increased prestige, making things better. We also, in terms of tech, are trying to handle the prestige. We're gonna go for dynamite. Notably, none of these are ahead of time techs. Once we switch back to researching ahead of time techs, we'll probably slot back in the research company, and I'm sure by then we will have 3 available mandate to do that, but we are going to go for pump jacks first, and then we are going for self-propelled torpedoes, because in particular, I think that as a matter of the PM, I think we like the torpedo boats more because explosives actually have a really good PM. I think we actually really like the torpedo boats a lot for the purposes of raising our prestige, and we actually don't really care too much about what boat is what. So I think we're just going to spam torpedo boats, and so this will help a lot for the prestige as well, in order to try and continue to keep our mandate high or keep our cohesion high so that we can pull people in, so that we can subjugate them. We're almost to the point where we can subjugate the Ukraine, but we definitely want to pull Spain into our block first. In fact, we could even check on that. if I am not mistaken. We should be able to subjugate Ukraine here in just a second. Where's the Ukrainian flag? There we are. We should be very, very close. Okay, we're currently on 4 years. We need 1 more year, or some amount of time, and we will be able to subjugate them and lose 60 cohesion, which is another reason why we kind of even want to be over this 80 figure on the cohesion so that it'll ramp back up faster. So the increased cohesion is allowing us to invite Spain to the bloc now. Now, it's still a chance. We're going to offer them up an obligation because it's going to go away eventually, especially if we're bankrolling them. And heart of the cards, obviously with 77%, we're going to get it because that's how odds work. Oh, I see. The speed run is complete. Non-syphilitic multiculturalism has been achieved. So we are going to be getting a ton of mass migrations from a ton of different pops. I think that the Han pops are ready to mass migrate. No? Oh, I guess they just had a rev. But we also get New Colossus, which is a very, very powerful event where we can say, come one, one all, get teeming shores permanently, getting 25% migration attraction. If these guys don't have a bunch of turmoil, then they won't cause mass migrations immediately. But this is going to be so good for us in terms of achieving mass migrations. And it is right before, just a few years before, we finish incorporating Persia, which Persia is going to have a pretty strong mass migration pull. And so we will be able to fill these places up. Now, to be fair, we're starting to conquer a little bit of everything, so maybe it doesn't really matter too much, because what's the point of getting guys to migrate from one place to another if you own both the places? Something like that. But we will be able to try and pass some more laws now, and I think that we were thinking of going for state religion here. Now, I don't think this is good, mainly because I think it's probably harder to make a cohesive government with the Anglican Church than it is with, the Intelligentsia. I think, generally speaking, the Intelligentsia are going to be a little bit better, but we haven't played this way too much before, we haven't played this way in quite some time, and so I think that going state religion is going to maybe make a little bit of sense here. We're just going to make sure, I think that we've passed all the laws that we want specifically the Intelligentsia to pass, with the exception of maybe going on to guaranteed libs, and almost everything else, and maybe we stay off of guaranteed libs, almost everything else we could use the trade unions to pass. I guess guaranteed libs is a vibe, right? The thing is we're going to kneecap the Intelligentsia. The Intelligentsia will be gone, but this is the specific guy that supports guaranteed liberties, and we can also get radicals and people to support guaranteed liberties. Another reason why going religion is pretty bad is we will not be able to invite agitators, so we probably do want to peruse these guys real quick and try and see if this guy's dapper. We want to try and see if we can find an agitator that we particularly like or want to use our cooldown on before we lose access to all these agitators we have here. So we'll go through all of this, and then we will be back with trying to pass state religion. Alright, something we did before clicking the button, although we haven't unpaused yet, is we swapped over from being secular academia on everything to clerical agitators, and from being secular administration to administrative clergy, expecting to see both the Intelligentsia clout drop and the Anglican Church clout go up off the back of that. So we got 16.9 and 12.1 if we just let the game think a little bit. And to be fair, they also need to hire and fire a little bit. So we'll maybe be on a Monday, we will see maybe a shift in clout. I hope we see a shift in clout, because if not, then a small shift in clout. I think that these things will still not be fully hired up, but that should help us out a little bit for passing these laws. We could also, in particular, manipulate... We could also come in and manipulate generals a whole bunch if we need to, for whatever reason, to help pass this more smoothly, but this is not exactly the hardest law pass. But we could do this by both firing, we could even purge the Intelligentsia if we actually want them to just completely go away. I'm not sure we're going to do that, although everyone loves a good purging. We can now click to subjugate Ukraine. Big dice on that one. That will, of course, drop our mandate down to 20, or cohesion down to 26, but it'll trend back up to 86. So over the course of, 60 or so weeks, it'll all be back. They want access to their own market control. We're going to say no, because I think that the market just hasn't initialized for them, but that's a little bit annoying. I think we're also going to stop funding lobbies. Well, we're currently... Yeah, I think we're supposed to stop funding lobbies here as well. We are currently... There are subjects, so we don't need to generate a bunch of leverage over them. And they also have extremely good relations with us. And so once they connect to the market, once they reconnect, they should be fine. Wait, why do they... Do they actually just not have a port? There's no shot that they don't have a port, so they don't... This just has to initialize, surely. But they should be in fine shape once they're connected to the market. Alright, so we had to wait until we were fully at peace to do this, but we're gonna feed the beast. And by feed the beast, I mean the British East India Company now, as a dominion, is allowed to declare their own wars, and we know that they will be fairly aggressive. These guys have been just hating our guts for forever, and so we're gonna feed them to the animals, because the East India Company is hungry, hungry hippo, and what we're gonna do is we're just gonna grant independence, and then we're gonna grant independence here so that they have a way to, you know, push in. No matter what, this would have been one war for us to annex either of these guys, and so we'll just kick them out of our little social club, and this should... Those guys have been kind of the lowest attitude for forever, and now it's Chiang Mai. We'll just improve relations with Chiang Mai as we can, and we will let these ones get subjugated. So, also, we're going to protectorate China, and we're going to do it for 17.5 infamy. This is absolutely bananas, B-N-A-N-S. As far as I can tell, this is the biggest reduction you can possibly get, and this X50 multiplier, this is the absolute max multiplier. So even if they had more states, it would still cost the exact same here. And what we see here is we're getting minus 40% because they're an unrecognized regional power. To be fair, they could be a lower unrecognized power, so there's that. But we're getting minus 45% here. We're getting minus 35% here from technology, and we're getting minus 25% here. And I know what you're saying, generalist, that adds up to more than a percent of, you know, that adds up to more than 100%. I believe that some of these are applying multiplicatively with each other, and so we know that what the value should be is it should cost 100 infamy, or no, it should cost more than 100 infamy, shouldn't it? I'm not sure what it should cost. I just know that it is extremely cheap. Really, really, really cheap. And so we're going to be going for this now and getting ourselves a nice little subject on China. So Spain does side with them. We were aware that this could happen. We're hoping that they back down, and we also think it's very likely that they back down given the level of fear that they have is currently at minus 124 because they have loans, they're in bankruptcy, and turmoil. So they're very pessimistic, but if they don't back down, we're going to be taking care of both them and Spain. We also put in the very maximum of maneuvers that we could have, all on them specifically, because we don't actually want to really rumble with Spain. We want to enforce Spain out as quickly as possible, and the extra war goals are going to make it even more likely that they back down. So probably going to see that here. The war with the Heavenly Kingdom did end up popping off, so now we kind of have to pick up the pieces in regards to Spain, but looks like they're kind of back on the cooperative train, and they will be trending towards 80. As far as the power block influence goes, still have quite a bit of influence. The cohesion's coming right back. I think that we have Ural as a potential person we could subjugate, but honestly, there are only 4 states, so we can take that in one war anyways. We're also having a bit of a go at Russia, mainly just for Mara, which is a sentence I thought I'd never say, but we do need to do this one war at a time. We kind of want to go after all the unrecognized powers first, and we also wanted to revoke a claim on Alaska, so that'll be good. We're also liberating Yakutia. I think that we're going to end up subjugating Russia and then conquering them at some point, but liberating this up here will give us another target that I'm pretty sure is unrecognized that we can go to if we need to end up taking all of Russia one state at a time in order to conquer them. So this is kind of the plan, and also it's a little bit timely because they're currently having very significant difficulties just on their own fighting Prussia. Unfortunately, we were trying to court France, but they formed their own power block here, so we are going to stop bankrolling them. We're going to keep the trade agreement, and we're going to stop funding lobbies as well. Just rake back some of the stuff, the resources that we have. But the big powers that we could potentially pull into our block are becoming more and more limited. I guess we could try and pull Prussia, We could try and pull Italy. We could try and pull Spain. But that's kind of like it. I think we're just going to subjugate Turkey because Turkey's unrecognized, so it's just going to be 20 infamy, and that's going to be fine. And so this, I guess we maybe start funding lobbies in Italy, and maybe this will play out nicely for us sometime down the road, because Italy is difficult to take in a single war. There's too many states, and so if we're trying to world conquest at some point in this run, trying to set up for that, both Italy and Prussia and France as well, and Spain, all cannot be taken in one war, and so getting them to be subjugated and reducing autonomy on them seems like a good look for now, while of course Dickens is in charge. Long live Dickens. Long may he reign. So we just get state religion passed, and despite the fact that these guys, we just passed state religion, they're still not happy with us right now, which is kind of a little bit of an unfortunate situation. I think we're going to bolster them just because we want them to get up above 20% clout to double their bonuses, which will give us actually probably a bigger refund on authority than we're spending here. But also, we do want to get this bonus doubled. Unfortunately, I don't think there's going to be anything that we want to pass that they want us to pass, so we can make them happy by passing this type of thing. But in reality, the main problem is we're starting to get a lot of this business going on, or we've had a lot of this business going on, and so farming, approval is kind of just a little bit of a difficult thing. We can take a quick look at our population chart and take a look at who has the clout in terms of religion, and we see that almost everyone, now that we're on state religion, is in fact, it's all coming from the Protestants. Although we have a lot of Confucians, as it were. Alright, there is a law we can pass that we want to pass, and that's regulatory bodies, which will give us the approval of the Anglican Church. But more importantly, you know who would really approve of this? Mr. Charles Dickens. He would approve of the regulatory bodies. Alright, so we're already seeing that we kind of hate state religion. Pretty quick into things, although we do like getting this bonus doubled, but I don't think it's enough, and we can't actually pull Spain in anymore, because when we take a look at the reason why they are supporting / not supporting, we see we're getting minus 317 from discriminated state religion. So I think that we're probably, after going graduated taxation, we're probably going to try and figure out a way to go back onto, we'll probably exile this guy, we'll probably figure out a way to go either. Actually, we can't go state atheism either. We really, really want to go on to total separation. And I don't think that you can get agitators for total separation very easily, so that's going to be a little bit of an uncomfortable situation. We want to pull Spain in, so here we are. So we have slot out freedom of movement for advanced research yet again, mainly because we want to utilize this ahead of time penalty, minus ahead of time penalty, to research stuff faster. And so having finished the last tech we wanted to research that wasn't ahead of time, we will start swapping back to being ahead of time. We are hoping that other people research other stuff so that we can nat spread it, and then we'll just go in on steam turbine into electrical capacitors, following electrical generation, which should be pretty good. We could also do ahead of time trench works if we decided to go high infamy, but I don't think we're going to be doing that yet. I think the next one we research is probably going to be Zeppelins, once again ahead of time, and then we will be accumulating mandate, and in 39 months we will be able to swap back to the one for mass migration. But also with our queue so full of electrical, it's not as important that we be able to attract migrants, because we're just spamming electricity all over the place, and so it's not going to be the case that we're just perma out of labor over here. Also, the fact that we can siphon off and have been siphoning off Han migrants is like a very big deal. They have weekly migration. Ooh, looks like they've chilled out a little bit. But the ones that are migrating are being sent mainly to us in order to, in places where we have cultural communities. What the real problem is we wish we had more cultural communities, and we don't. And so that is a little bit of a vibe. But we also don't really need to go high infamy, so don't really need trench. Currently, we're cleaning up Africa, just kind of annexing all these little powers because they cost like 1 infamy to annex, and we decay just about as fast as we can, have a play assemble and get up and going. So we also are having a ton of separatist movements as well as native uprisings, so just kind of little bit of small ball wars all throughout Africa right now. So we had a movement for a while to restore freedom of conscience, but then the movement went away. So I think we're going to be going for total separation. But before we do, we of course don't want the Anglican Church to actually be this strong. And so what we're going to do is we're going to be going a purging. We are going to purge the army and the navy of every single person who is a part of the Anglican Church. I mean, in theory, we could do this without purging them. We could actually probably go freedom of conscience and keep them around and try and make them both happy. This is maybe the more interesting play. We would kind of like to have... I mean, so the people we want to get are all either Protestant or Catholic. The people that we want to get via power block mechanics. And so maybe it's the case that I was going to go total separation, but maybe we could just go... Maybe we could just say we flirted with state religion and then we go freedom of conscience, and then this will make some of our guys happy. It will not cause the Anglican Church to get too upset. We will lose their bonus on a temporary basis, though. Oh, jeez. They got a traditionalist? Not like this. It's been happening in the background, but Prussia has been busy. They have been going for all the subjugations. They have a bunch of puppets, they have dominions, and they should have some protectorates if there's anything going on. Oh yeah, they also have a bunch of protectorates, so it looks like they're still trying to form North Germany, which has been fascinating to watch. They don't have a market thing, though, in terms of their power block. They have a power block, but they chose, like, the wrong one. They have Sovereign Empire. They have 48 years on their principles because they don't have enough cohesion. Yikes. And they don't have a really good way to establish a market, otherwise they would be in much better shape. So I'm not sure if we'll see a North German Fed. Kind of hoping for a North German Fed, because that would make our life a whole lot easier. So I think we're going to conclude the episode here. This episode, we did some funky law changes off of freedom of conscience and then back onto it now again. Our laws are overall kind of gotten in the place where we want them. I think we want to stay on laissez-faire the whole game and not do cooperative ownership, because I think we've done cooperative ownership almost every single game, so I do want to stay on laissez-faire for one game. And laissez-faire is fully draining the investment pool, which has kind of never been the case before, and so I think we want to lean into this and be staying on this. Eventually, we will go Republican, you know, when Mr. Charles Dickens dies, but the dream will never die. Big nice for Charles Dickens. And then also, we will be, this episode, we subjugated the Heavenly Kingdom for under 20 infamy, which is super nice. We're just about ready to reduce autonomy on them, which is going to play quite well, because we will probably want to annex them relatively... As soon as we decide to go high infamy, we will want to annex them. But to be fair, how much does annexation even cost us? Maybe we could maybe we could annex Qing while staying low infamy. Let's just take a look at how much this would cost us. 43 infamy. Get out of here. Get out of here. That's so cheap. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. If you did, please feel free to like, comment, subscribe. Do the YouTube algorithm thing. And there are links down below as well. And have a good day.